can people actually hear me this time? Because I was having some issues with my microphone. So I'm hoping it's actually working this time. Good grief. Right. Finally got it working. Okay. So, good morning, afternoon, evening or night, wherever you are in the world. I'm Skyblaze and you are listening to The Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. Technical issues aside, I'm gonna be spending tonight talking about cancelled Sonic games. Since many of these games don't have actual soundtracks, I'm going to be using whatever music I think is appropriate. Some of them do have soundtracks and I'll be using those where I can. Feel free to argue with me about my selections. Because Sonic's release games, there are a whole host of cancelled games which I'm going to cover today. And I'm going to start with one that clearly everybody knows about this one. Sister Sonic. What do you mean you've never heard of Sister Sonic? Actually, I'm nearly kidding because I've never actually heard of it until I started doing the research for this episode. If it had been released, it would have been back in the early 90s and would have been the first Sonic RPG, long before Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. The game itself was going to be a localization and an adaptation of Pop Full Mail, which was a side-scrolling platform RPG by Nihon Falcom, who some of you might know worked on some of the Hyperdimension Neptunia games. And it would have been released for the Sega CD/Mega CD if you prefer. They had originally planned on simply replacing all of the characters in Pop Full Mail with Sonic characters instead, and inexplicably taking notes from really terrible daytime soap operas, they would have introduced Sonic's long-lost sister, who had the brilliantly inspired and clever name of, are you sitting down for this? Sister Sonic. Oh, good grief, Sega, was that really the best you could do? Not even Sonia? For God's sake. So obviously it never actually got made because the Mega CD/Sega CD didn't actually work, right? Right? Wrong. It was actually cancelled because of hate mail. I'm not kidding. Sega Falcom, which was the collaboration team of Sega and Nihon Falcom, decided to cancel the project due to the mass of hate they got from Japanese fans. And instead decided that they were going to do a direct port of Pop Full Mail instead. To the relief of probably quite a lot of people, myself among them, because, yeah, this I'll be honest, this didn't sound great. Wow. I don't know what to tell you. This would have been it would have been awful. Yeah, Green Viper's saying hateful mail would have been an appropriate name for the localization. You're not kidding. However, Pop Full Mail was published by Sega on a Sega console, so I have music for it. So I'm going to play a couple of tracks from that and then do some more chatting about other cancelled Sonic titles. So here we go, one of the tracks from Pop Full Mail, Volcanic Zone Battle. Enjoy. And we are back. And that was Popful Mail Jungle Exploration, and prior to that it was Popful Mail Volcanic Zone Battle. So I hope you enjoyed those, and we seem to have got over the bump in the road from where we started, so let's proceed. Now, I've spoken about it before, but it is the best known cancelled Sonic title, so of course I'm going to talk a little bit about Sonic X-treme. So originally developed for Genesis, Mega Drive, to sensible people. It was moved to the Sega 32X and then finally to the Saturn. Was supposed to be released in Christmas 1996. Sadly, due to a whole host of complications and delays, it was cancelled in 1997. Considering that Sonic Adventure 1 came out in 1998, that's probably just as well. The Mega Drive Genesis games on 32X games that were part of the Extreme developments are two that I will be covering. For example, Sonic Mars. Some of you may know that the 32X had a development name of Mars, Sega Mars. Because Sega have this thing about planets, apparently. Or chocolate bars. One of the two. Of course, I'm sure that you are all familiar with the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon series, Sonic Sat AM to most of you. And if you haven't, then you clearly have been hiding under a rock in a cave, because it's amazing and fantastic and should be appreciated. Actually stands up remarkably well. Sonic Mars was actually developed to be a Sonic Sat AM game, involving at least 3 characters from the show, Sally Acorn, Bunny Rabbit and Antoine de Colette. And Sonic, of course. Not Tails, interestingly enough, which is a bit weird, but hey-ho. It was also going to be the first 3D polygonal Sonic game, or polygonal if you prefer. Sadly, due to disinterest from the development team, mostly the guys from Sega Japan came over and went, nah, don't want that. It got canned. The plot was actually pretty interesting though. Sonic has to save his friends from Robotnik as he tries to reformat a thing called Micro Mobius, which is a VR world housed within one of Sonic's supercomputers. As kind of a dry run at doing it for real, I guess. So it's basically Sonic meets Tron. God damn, I want to see that happen. Although the screenshots look worryingly like Sonic 3D Blast. Oh dear. Can't win them all, I guess. So, gonna have a couple more music tracks now. So, here is the title theme from Sonic Sat AM, and a track from Sonic 3D. So, because I mentioned it earlier. So I hope you enjoy those. I'll see you again after the break.
Blue streak speeds by, Sonic the Hedgehog, too fast for the naked eye. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he's got an attitude. Sonic, he's the fastest thing alive. Look out when he storms through. Sonic the Hedgehog, don't doubt what he can do. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he's got an attitude. Sonic, he's the fastest thing alive. He's the fastest thing alive. He's the fastest thing alive.
You're listening to Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7. Sega.
we are back. And that was Richard Jack's Rusty Ruin Act 2 from Sonic 3D Blast Saturn version. And prior to that, it was the Noisy Neighbours doing The Fastest Thing Alive, the theme from Sonic Sat AM. So I hope you enjoyed those. I really love the theme from Rusty Ruin. It's a really lovely, chill track. It's great. Even Green Viper likes that one, and he doesn't usually approve of the Sonic 3D Blast Saturn soundtrack. Anyway, another cancelled game for the 32X was Sonic Crackers, which also went under the title of Sonic Stadium. So if you've ever wondered where a certain website got its name from, well, now you know. The game is basically a very early version of Knuckles Chaotix, complete with the rubber band-esque ring that joins the two characters together. In this case, the two characters are Sonic and Tails instead of Knuckles and the Chaotix crew. There is a partially playable beta for this game that is out in the wild somewhere, where the goal is simply to get to the end of the level before the time limit expires. There's not really very many enemies or very much else to do other than wander around. Sadly though, even if you do manage to make it to the goal, usually by cheating, before the end of the time limit, the game actually crashes. Whoops. There are only 2 levels available in the beta to actually play, although there is an RPG-esque overworld, which is probably intended as a kind of level select type thing. There are traces of this game which can be found in the final build of Knuckles Chaotix. Specifically, there are dummied out versions of Knuckles and possibly Tails who were in there. Sorry, Sonic and Tails who were in there. Misspoke. It's been a long day. Mick's saying he always thought that TSS got its name like that. I'm not 100% certain if it is, but it's probably the case. It's one of the reasonably well-known betas, so that because there is actually a soundtrack for it, or partial soundtrack. So speaking of which, it's well known enough that there's actually an OC remix available for it. So, which I'm going to play for you now, because it's actually a really good track. So, coming up now, we've got Malkos doing Sonic Crackers Dirty Beta OC remix. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you after the break.
to Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
And I am back. It's a bit unfortunate that that version of World Entrance 2 demo from Sonic Crackers, from the Knuckles Chaotix soundtrack, ends that abruptly. Probably because it's only a demo, I guess. But yeah, that was Knuckles Chaotix World Entrance 2 demo, which is actually originally from Sonic Crackers. And before that, it was Malkos Sonic Crackers Dirty Beta from our friends over at OC Remix. Mick over in the Discord chat was asking how exactly unused songs are found in games. Is it some sort of secret code or sound test? It depends. For cartridge games, it's usually it's sometimes that they've found it through something like a sound test. More often, it's somebody's messed about with using a Game Shark device or similar cheat device, or they've pulled the entire game code and have gone through it to find interesting bits and pieces. So it's a lot easier to look for things like that if you pull the game ROM. If it's a CD-based game, you can quite often just play the CD soundtrack through a PC, because it's quite often stored. So excuse me, it's quite often stored in a separate folder from the rest of the game. So you can sometimes just play it as MIDI files or something similar. Not so much the case these days, but it used to be. So I hope that answers your question at least a little bit. I don't know a huge amount about it. I know a little bit. So there are probably some other people who can probably answer your question a little bit better. But I hope that helps. Moving on. So we all know that Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was a complete disaster area of a game. But was it always going to be that way, or could there have been a way that it could have been saved? It's pretty interesting to discover that Sonic Boom could have gone in a completely different direction. Judging from abandoned concepts of a game called Sonic Synergy, which was a very early pass at a Big Red Button Sonic game. Big Red Button, of course, being the people who produced Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. We will not necessarily hold that against them. Okay, we might a bit. The character designs for this early version are a lot closer to what most people would consider to be proper Sega Sonic. For one thing, he still has tan-coloured arms. I don't get that irritated by the whole blue arms thing. But yeah, the character design in general just looks a bit more Sonic-ish. He's still got the scarf around his neck, but there's a lot less sports tape. Amy looks pretty different as well. Knuckles is still skipping leg day, however. There are indications that Sonic Synergy would have been a much larger game with a fairly different user interface and control scheme. Oh, and there was no sign of Styx? Nothing of value would have been lost. And there would have been things like hub worlds and a different story. There's all sorts of things that would have been pretty different. And there's some indications that there would have been 4-player co-op multiplayer, which is pretty interesting. And that got axed relatively early on. So, yeah, I have to wonder if that would have been a better job. Rex is saying, oh, ye olden days of Red Book Audio where you could just put the CD game in a CD player for the OST. I know, right? It was great. Rex is saying, I think Styx emerged through the cartoon, so who knows. Styx was in Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric as an NPC. Mr. Wonderman Jamie is asking, you mentioned Styx, what do you mean nothing of value would have been lost? If she'd not been in the game, I mean, she doesn't really contribute a great deal. And I don't find her that interesting of a character, so I don't think it would have been a huge deal if she'd not been there. And Mick saying, didn't a lot of people think Styx was Marine? That is true. I'm not sure how well I could have dealt with the dodgy Australian accent for any great length of time, though. But who's to say? So I'm going to cheat with the music here because the soundtrack for Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is complete garbage. So I'm going to play another couple of things instead. So here's Sonicu XM with Sonic Boom Zuski style. I can say words. Hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you again after the break.
best Sega music, live shows, and the chance to request your favorites. This is RadioSega.net.
Another bloody track with a really abrupt end. Never mind. That was Sonic Boom Fire and Ice Glacier Forest. And prior to that, it was Sonic-U XM Sonic Boom Zusky Style. Now, is it just me, or do bits of that Glacier Forest track sound like a sped-up version of Lava Reef? I could just be going mad, because that's entirely within the realms of possibility. But let me know what you think. Now, just to make things extra confusing, there were at least 2 attempts at making a Sonic game that were based on Sonic Sat.AM. The other had the working title of Sonic 16. I've already spoken about the first one. And it was put together by a team from the SEGA Technical Institute, who had previously worked on Sonic Spinball. There was a concept video released that showed Sonic in a level with a strong resemblance to Robotropolis from the series, with spot bots for enemies. You know, like they used in Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood later on. Sonic moves a little bit slower than in other games, but he has the ability to grab ledges and pull himself up, and hide around corners and kind of peek around them, Solid Snake style-y. Which I think is pretty cool. And when I say a little bit slower, I'm not talking kind of like Sonic 3D Blast slower, just a little bit. So you can stop and be stealthy if you need to. Mick saying's Sega Technical Institute, is that a Sega school? No, it isn't. It's now defunct, but it was the American arm of Sega for a long, long time during the 90s and early 2000s, I think. And was where some of the American-developed Sonic games were made. So, you have learned a thing. It would be really awesome if Sega had its own university though, that would be hilarious. Anyway, so there was some stealth elements involved in this, in Sonic 16, which is really weird for a Sonic game. Rexy's saying, if you want to slow Sonic, look up Sonic Labyrinth. Oh god! Did you have to do that? I had all but blocked it out! That is cruel! What is wrong with you, Rexy? Oh god. Right, where was I? Right, Chris Sen, who was one of the guys who worked at the Sega Technical Institute, and also happened to be one of the main developers behind the cancelled Sonic Extreme project, said that Sonic 16 was yet another version of that cancelled project. How many versions of this damn thing were there? Good grief, it's no wonder it got cancelled. Right, we're going to have some music now, so since I mentioned Sonic Spinball, because the guys who were working on Sonic 16 were also the people who worked on Sonic Spinball, we're going to go for that. So I hope you enjoy these couple of tracks, and I'm probably going to run over, but sod it. So see you after the break. And we are back. And that was Sonic Extreme. Yes, I know, it wasn't released, but I've still got the soundtrack for it. Volcano X. It's actually one of the better tracks from that soundtrack. A lot of them are very slow-paced for a Sonic game, which is kind of weird. There are some really good examples, though, Volcano X being one of them. And prior to that, it was Toxic Caves, Sonic Spinball, which was the Jun Sanaway Generations mix. And Jamie is whining about it, but Mr. Wonderman's saying, do I know that there was a cancelled Sonic game called Sonic Extreme? EX, not X. Yes, I did, but it's really easy to get confused when you're doing this as vocals, not written, so I didn't cover that one. If I return to this topic, which I might because there's quite a few which I haven't talked about, I'll probably talk about that one. Because there is stuff that I can cover. There's a bunch of arcade games which never got made as well, which I haven't covered. Maybe if I Need Fruit comes back, then I should do a collaboration with him about cancelled Sonic arcades, or just Sonic arcade games in general. Anyway, my desk is falling apart. That is pretty much all I have got for today. My slightly awkward beginning to the show notwithstanding. Thank you everybody who is listening today. Thank you to the guys in the Discord chat, Green Viper and Rexy and Mick and Mr. Jamie Wonderman and everybody else who's in the Discord chat. I wave and say hello to you, who doesn't post much, but it's really nice that you're there. Cheers to everybody on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you everybody who expressed their sympathies to me and my family last week. For those who don't know, I had to attend a funeral for a member of my family, specifically my cousin, who died suddenly. So it was very much appreciated that you guys were really sympathetic and said such nice things. Thank you very much for that. On a slightly less serious note, if you have any suggestions for a topic that you would like for me to cover here on the Hidden Palace, please let me know. I can be reached on Twitter, where I'm at Blazing Skies. You can reach me via Discord chat, or there is the Radio Sega forum thread, which I specifically set up for suggestions. So thank you everybody for listening. I'm going to run over slightly because I started late, so screw it. So I'm going to close out with another couple of tracks. So I'm going to close out with 2 tracks from Sonic games. I'm going to close out with Sonic Adventure, It Doesn't Matter, and Julian Kay's This Machine. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I will see you all next time. Thank you. I've been Skyblaze. This has been the Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. Good night.
Well, I don't show up, don't tragic mystery. You could have left me here, still inside the blood. No one would ever know the chaos control. My true identity, the power that is me. We are destined for the driverless machine. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman's watching. We are destined for the looking through the screen. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman watches. With words in the fight, electric lives, change surroundings, a Julian history. A treasure disappears as she goes, miss her as you look away, and no one knows. This power is a key, this power changes me. We are destined for the driverless machine. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman's watching. We are destined for the looking through the screen. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman watches. One, two, three. You didn't know that I'm gonna show you the power that is me. You try to take me down, stop the show. Seems you've never tasted fear, a loss of control. The power lives in me. The power that is me. We are destined for the driverless machine. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman's watching. We are destined for the looking through the screen. Don't know how long we've waited. As the Eggman watches.
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.